Now, there's cheating once still accidental, and that is usually on the side of men.
You and Uganda?
I'll say it. Then, one, cheating under the influence. Now,
Shadi, are you speaking from experience?
no.
More girls and women are prepared to make a home than I think men are to be a husband.
And sometimes, are you in agreement sexually? People don't like to talk about that, especially people in the faith. Cheki Yesu atatenda, hatatenda. Emmanuel, do you know your attachment style?
No, I think Big Nyash is not my attachment style. Come on. I'll tell you about myself as we're waiting for Eric. I'm happy actually to be here because I learned quite a bit from Eric. You know, I'm separated from my missus. You know, I'm separated. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. No, thank you. Thanks. I'm trying to get back into dating. Cindy, right? I'm trying to get back. No? I'm meeting different ladies. No, I don't. What do you mean? What kind of discouragement is happening on this live recording? I thought you guys were supposed to encourage me. Yeah. Are we ready for Eric? Yeah, today it's all about Eric. The reason we became friends is there was once I was broke. I asked him for 200 bob. I'm like, yo, because I needed 200 bob to pay for because the cyber cafe was my office. So it was around 200 bob to spend a day there. So I was like, Eric, do you have 200 bob? Yeah, I'm good. I have 200 bob. Like, yo, that is going to be my friend for life. And here we are now, I'm hosting his event. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the back of the room, this guy, you guys have seen him on the Ask Eric podcast. You've seen him on many radio shows and on TV. Put your hands together for our host of the night, Eric Omonde!
Another one you guys are clapping for. Oh my goodness me. Can I sit or stand? How do you prefer me, Charles? I'll sit and then I'll stand. Good to see you. Everybody looks so good for me. Is my sound good? Njoki, good to see you. How are you? Oh my goodness me. I'll tell you a quick story before we get started. My name is Eric. And what I do is I tell stories. And I thought to myself, instead of telling myself these stories in the house, how about I come out and share these stories with people? One of the things I believe very strongly is that our gifts are not for us. Our gifts are for others. And life is better when it's other-centered, more than when it's self-centered. And so this is the purpose for having come here. I'm very excited. I cannot thank you enough for calling me your time and your money. Can you imagine? Time and money. Kisia nani? Hawa ni watu wa ajabu sana. So thank you so much. I was in church on Wednesday. I was doing some work in church. And I finished the work I was doing in church. And I decided it's a Wednesday and there's a Wednesday service. I can just stay and have a Wednesday service. But that deacon was interestingly exciting. So as I was walking out of the church, there's a lady who had sat in my eye view. Mora, good to see you. And I may just mention your name as we're going along. And she looked like she was from the gym. And she was in her trainers and a kofia. And as I was walking to my car, we struck a rapport. And I was telling her about this event. I'd never met her before. I said, you know, it would be lovely. I'm doing an event. If you have the want to, please come. And she said, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll look into it. And you wouldn't believe it. As I was standing there waiting, she showed up. So Gary, thank you. Clap for Getty, tafadhali. Sitawaambia ni nani, juu kila mtu ako ni nani. And I could go on about wonderful stories and different episodes and testimonials of individuals, both individually and corporately. Another time at the gym, we were working out with my gym mates, working out. So in the midst of sweating, I said, you know, Nancy, I have something coming up. And she didn't say a word. She just said, yeah, send it to me, I'll come. And she was one of the first people who came here early. So again, Nelly, thank you so much. Asante sana. So I want us to have fun. I want us to make it as interactive as it can be. I don't want to speak at you. I prefer instead to speak with you. We're going to get to the Q&A session, but I have a beautiful game I like to play. Can we play a game real quick? Yeah. Sianto, are you okay playing a game?
Yes.
Okay, that's very good. All right, so this is the game. I'm going to ask a question from here. A simple question. Wacha kuniangalia hivyo. Kuna mtu anaangalia zile za usitu embarrass. And we are going for 2 minutes. Ask the first person. So we are pairing. But the goal is, I will be timing, and then person A answers the question for exactly a minute. And then after 1 minute I say stop, person B answers for a minute. And then I ask another question. Is that okay? And the goal is, the person you ask who you came with is not the person you're going to ask. The second question will require that you switch up. So Dennis, I expect to see you here. Okay? Alafu Mora, you can go there. You talk to somebody you don't know. That's the goal. So we'll be rotating. Misawa? Aya. The first question, are you ready? Yes. Where was your last destination? Where did you travel to last? Start. Anywhere. We are switching in 5, 4, 3, 2, stop and switch. Yes, switch. As in, no, not switching to another. The next person is answering. Yes. The next person. Everybody has a minute to answer. Kwani mnajibu haraka aje? Where did you go? Narok. All right, the next question. Are you ready for the next question? Msiende sana. Sasa mjomba wako ni wa Mutamba Masuma huko. Si hao ni chilani zetu. Sasa mnataka kuenda sana. How did you contribute to your last breakup? We are done in 3, 2, 1, and stop. Alrighty, so now we rotate to a new person. Go to a new person. Go to a new person. And make sure to move. You moved, okay. All right, the question in 3, 2, 1. Apart from money, what else do you gain from your work? Apart from money, what would you say you gain from your work? And make it interactive, same experience. Second last question. Let's move to a new person. So, Gameboy, in a nutshell, we have 2 minutes to answer a question, with each person having a minute to answer it. So I shoot the question from here, you answer it in 1 minute. When I say stop, the other person answers it. Okay? And you make it interactive. You can't just say, Nikubaya. Nikubaya. Alrighty, the second last question. In your opinion, why do you think dating is challenging in 2025? In your opinion, why do you think dating is challenging in 2025? And if it's not for you, tell them the reason. In 3, 2, 1, go. In 3, 2, 1, stop. We stop now. And then the last question. Do you want to switch one last time? You're fine. Okay, the last question. This is a free hand. I'm giving you a free hand. Ask them to ask you a question of their liking. Ask him or her to ask you a question of their liking. Any question. What do you do? What's your name? Are you married? Where do you work? Sasa podcast itakuwa testimony jamani. All right, we can stop now. We'll continue after. You can come back to your seat, or if you like them, you can sit where they're sitting. The sun. Let's be seated, please. Did you enjoy that? You see that it's good to talk to people. All right. I feel very awkward sitting here, my God. I feel like a montage that people have to look at. As I said earlier, I just thought it was important to break the ice and get to know one another. I think sometimes we suffer many times unnecessarily because the solutions we need many times are with the next person. But we've preached for so long the idea around independence. It's become very popular now. Everybody has to be very independent. We'll raise the kids by ourselves and we'll be just us. You know, us, the way we are. We don't need people. And I think it's a lie from the pits of hell. I think the goal of life is to be interdependent more than independent. There's a place for independence and there's a place for interdependence. And sometimes if you think about some of the things that you're battling, be it financial, emotional, mental, sexual, you name it, whatever you may be having, somebody else has sussed it out, you know? And so Emmanuel might be sitting here with a challenge that Sianto has an answer for, and Joaquin might be sitting there with a decision and a solution that I'm battling. And I think it's very important that we speak with and to one another instead of at one another. So if you're new here, please feel most welcome. My name is Eric. The other one is Omondi. I was thanking you at the top there that you not only have given me your time, but also your money. It means a lot. I am a storyteller, and I've been thinking quietly that we need another platform where we can share our minds outside the premise that a problem halved or shared is a problem halved. We are going through life differently, and many times there's an idea I share. I like to say this a lot. There's an idea I share that is different from your idea. It doesn't mean that my idea, because I'm sitting up here, is superior than your idea. It just means that it's mine, and I have one idea. Now, if we get to talking, I'll get you one idea, then I'll leave the conversation with two ideas. My initial one plus yours. And hopefully you leave the stage with the same idea. Yours and another one. And so that's why discourse for me is very, very important. So I don't want us to be bored. I don't want to speak at you. I want to make it very interactive. Somebody's going to be my usher, and then we'll get started. It's simply Ask Eric. One of my biggest gifts before we again roll, I was thinking about this, again, courtesy of my mom. My mom used to say, in my mother tongue, Dogi bogo le woko. Dogi no, bogo le woko. Who is low here? Yes. Can somebody translate what that means? Kisangani, please pass a mic. Do we have another mic? We do have another. We have a lot of mic for phones.
Could you repeat?
Just the way you understand it, then somebody else can try and somebody else.
Okay. Direct translation is your mouth will take you out there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Ero nyaugenya?
Nyaugenya.
Mila temie. That means please try. She's actually from my mom's Ushago.
Actually, doggy mouth. So it means whatever comes out of your mouth, it's just to be told to people who are like talkative. So just continue talking.
Yeah.
Whatever you say will make you stand out one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Thank you, Kisangani. So every time we had some sort of dispute, you'd say, if somebody wanted something done in one of my sister's school, as a little boy that I was, my mom would say, send Eric to talk to them. And I was just like, why do you send me for these things? If there was a shopkeeper who needed something from somewhere, just like, send Eric. If somebody's fence had done something, send Eric. If my sister who is coming, Bonita, needed something in the university, they'd be like, send Eric. I'm like, these guys are older and bigger than me. What am I telling them? Then she'd say, you'll figure it out. And long after she had died, 10 years now, I started seeing that play out, you know? One time, get ready with your questions as I'm talking. One time I used to work at a cyber cafe where Emmanuel had alluded to. Part of my hustle at that cyber cafe was, I was a cyber attendant and I used to be paid 3K. And that guy was paying me intermittently. He'd pay me when he feels like. He'd be like, Eric, yeah. Utakuja next week. So alongside my cyber cafe hustle, I had a fruit salad store in CBD hapo in Tao. Imagine you're looking at an entrepreneur. So I had a fruit salad store and it grew by, first I started going to the market myself. I used to go to the market. I was told by some lady that ukitaka matunda mzuri umodi vile utafanya, ni wa kwenu huko Njoki. Vile utafanya, unaamka kabisa mapema kabisa, saa 9 ikupate sokoni marikiti. Alafu kile utafanya, ukigoga meloni, usikie nde. Umesikia hiyo sauti? Meloni. Unachukua meloni imeiva vizuri. Ukifanya bu, hiyo ni melon mbaya. Alafu kuna mahali ya madizi, kuna mama anaitwa mama wa moyo. Nitakupatia namba yake. Ukifika umwambie mama wa moyo nimetumwa na Mele. Atakupatia matunda. And so I actually went to, imagine, I'd never been to Marikiti. Me and my swag, nimetoka nimeingia Marikiti, saa 9 nasikia usingizi. And I went to Mama Wamoyo and the melon lady, and I took the melon to my small room. Kisangani, I don't think you came to my house then. I used to have a small SQ in Langata, and I used to sleep on my clothes. So the owner of the SQ was a wonderful Kikuyu lady, but she really loved her rent. She needed it on time. She needed her rent on time. You guys didn't have employment, and my cage was 5,000 bob. From nothing, like I was hoping for rent from osmosis. I'm like, akintaunganisha. So many times, my rent was always shy 1,500, 1,200. I could not almost get to 4K. I used to have like 3,722. And then the next month, I have 3,920. So this woman once called me outside of the gate. And then she asked me, Momodi, unajua ile huko ni wapi huko? Ukiangalia huko, unaona ni wapi huko? So I said, ni wapi huko? I was staying in Southlands. If you know Langata well. So I said, ni Kibera. Unaona hii 3,000 umenipatia ukisema ningoje wiki 2. Unaweza pata nyumba na miezi hata 9 na hii pesa. So wewe uhamie huko. So I was like, this woman is sending me to... And now slowly I started seeing what my mom would say, because I was able to wiggle my way into being let to stay on hope. So I'd be like, Mami, wacha nikwambie, hata ni makosa tu, ilikuwa nachukua pesa Monday. Sasa venye nikaenda hapo town, huyo mtu akafunga ofisi. Na unajua Tuesday ilikuwa holiday. Wednesday nikampigia na Thursday akushika. Tufanye hivi, nipe mpaka Wednesday. Hiyo wiki ingine nitalipa. Lakini wewe, uko utaenda uishi vizuri. And then she'd take my money and buy Blue Band and very exotic spreads for the babies. Not babies, grown men bigger than me. Her sons were huge. I'd be like, hey, And I'm like, you guys should talk to your mom to Rumia me. You guys need Blue Band that much. But that's what she used to use my money for buying them Blue Band. And then, as luck would have it, I then moved and went some places. But the point I was trying to make with that story is, I started seeing how this gift my mother called played out. I've told, if you've been online many times, and I've shared these countless times, if you've heard this story, forgive me for being redundant. I've told this story about how every work I'd ever applied for, every work I've never ever gotten. Hata moja, hata sijaitwa interview nimeapply. Ati nimeapply hivi nikasema, hi, I am competent, I wake up early. What are those good things people write? I haven't applied in a while. I have interpersonal relationship. I work well with a team. And under pressure. Under pressure, under pressure, those things. Never, not even one interview. But what I've consistently been called for, work-related, has had everything to do with my gift. Okay? The ability to speak to people. And so I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying there's something inside of all of us, and it just takes, as if you're lucky, like I was with my mother, for my mother to call it out. And if you're not so lucky, maybe you want to sit with a pen and a paper and ask yourself, what are the problem areas that come to me very naturally? There are people who are good with this stuff. When they look at decor, I met a wonderful lady yesterday. She can do magic with a plain wall and make it look like the castle in England. And there are other people who are gifted with dancing. If you told them to say one word, they couldn't, but they're gifted with different things. When you find your thing, I think struggling becomes very rare. You rarely struggle when you found your thing. I know people here who are just very gifted at doing things with wanyama, for instance. And they've invited me in their spaces. Akikuonyesha mnyama, mimi nasikia kutoka mbio, lakini yeye ina move damu yake na boil, anataka kuona mnyama. I know my friend, a friend of mine here called Ogembo, we went to school together. When Ogembo comes to my house, all the things that are crooked, he sees in 2 minutes. He's like, Eric Duncan, your light in a vibaya. Me, I don't see it. And he's very good with his hands. One time he came to my house and my gas was leaking. And the whole house was smelling of gas. Na mimi nakaranga mayai tu. So it's like, no, kitu imefanyika huko nyuma. Esophagus ya gas imepasuka ikaungana na kila gas. Na mimi sikuwa najua. So I think it's very important that we interrogate it, whatever it is that we've been gifted to do. Okay, does that make sense? So let's get started now then. Tutaanzia wapi? Mike iko wapi? Nani ako na kiswali? Recently I was invited for a Catholic church function. They were calling it Singles Masquerade. And because it was a church function, everybody was mandated at their pleasure to write a question and send it to the front. And it was very interesting what fellow believers had to ask. So I think, please write the question, give it to Emmanuel. Emmanuel will forward it to me, but I'll wait for the questions. I see guys are writing.
Maybe I can ask the first question.
Okay.
On behalf of myself.
Okay. All right. All right, ask the question.
So, why is it so hard to date in your 40s? Like, asking for myself.
Did you tell everybody about your situation? I feel like I caught snippets of it when I was outside. Did you talk about your relationship?
My marriage?
Yeah.
Yes, I said it ended.
No, he's my friend, I can laugh. Jameni. Nini mnaningilia cheki wacha kumchekelea ni sensitive. But Emmanuel and I speak almost daily twice. Very late in the night. And then in the morning. And so we tease each other. So ukiona nikicheka usianze kusema cheki, imagine umejifungua roho kama unaona umano wako vulnerable. Na Eric anacheka kwani ni insensitive aje? So we are boys, so don't mind my laughing. I think Kisiangani, we've discussed this in private. One of the challenges I find from a personal level is that your personality really has concretized. You know the things you want and you're sort of set in your ways. One time my sister Bonita came to my house and went to my bedroom and said, unatandika kitanda kabisa kama msichana. Straight hivi. And I've been thinking about that for a while. I think she needed me to have it rugged a bit. So I feel like you're set in your ways. There's a way that you eat, there's a way you speak, there's a way you sleep, and compromise becomes very difficult. So that's the first part. The second part is, I think sometimes 40-year-olds are also just very stubborn, especially men. They've idealized what they want in a woman, which does not exist. That woman only exists in their mind. So this woman has never had sex with anybody, ever. Ever. But she's 35. This woman does not go out. Out per club. Jezebel spirit. This woman wakes up at 3 a.m. to do what? To pray. In deep tongues as he's sleeping. Check it. So I feel like the danger many times from the conversations I have with a few men that I talk to is that they've idealized who a woman should be in their mind. And every time they meet a real human woman, because it corrupts what they've decided a woman should be, so they go back to their cocoon and they hide. And so I think it needs a lot of internal work, which requires divorcing oneself from your ideals and maybe embracing the ordeal. Ms. Ongara, what would you propose is a good way to handle infidelity?
Thank you for that question. I would say this. Divorce in the Bible has been given a caveat, and the caveat is if somebody's cheating, then you're given the permission to divorce. Now, there's cheating once it's accidental, and that is usually on the side of men.
You, Nigani?
That's it. Then, accidental cheating. I'll put it in 3 categories. 1, cheating under the influence. Now listen, guys. Listen, guys. Let me now put it into context. Listen.
Shadi, are you speaking from experience?
No. Listen, cheating under the influence. Now, the influence could be alcohol, it could be peer pressure. So there's also cheating out of rebound. So umekosana na bwanako, umekosana na bibi yako, you're just mad at them, and in the attempt to get back at them, you go out there and do something stupid. So then now, why I call it accidental, it was based on emotions at that moment. There was no underlying emotional attachment to that person you're cheating with. And that is why I put it in that category of accidental cheating, because you did not have anything between you and the person, especially on the side of men. There was nothing, it's just sex, and that was it. After that, you have no feelings for the person, and you have done something stupid. Now, you own that, and you take it and deal with it. But there's that cheating, infidelity, mtu anaenda kuwa na bibi wa pili. This person actually has had an emotional engagement. Unajua wale wabibi wa kazini?
Anaenda kuoa.
Anaenda karibu aoe mtu. Side chick cheating is a different story from what I call accidental. So that's how you should differentiate it. An emotional attachment cheating and non-emotional attachment cheating. Maybe I'll put it that way. Yeah.
I see.
This is to you.
This is to you.
That term is triggering because I feel like the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. When we trivialize something that's as painful as that, and you say accidental, and then you get a pass because it's accidental, it creates a character. It creates not just a habit, it creates actually it starts with that one time, then a pattern, and then a habit, and then a character. Before you know, there is that Njeri you're trying to marry because you got a pass at the beginning. Secondly, if we trivialize the weight of it, it gets comfortable, not just for a man, but even for women. If I trivialize lying and I call it accidental, or I call it white lie, I am lessening the weight of what it was in my mind. So I give myself a pass. And then it gets comfortable. And the point is, marriages are meant to be upheld. The values that the Lord asked. And there's a reason why adultery is given a pass. Because it's painful. It really is. You're sharing a part of you that nobody else should have but your wife. There's nothing accidental about peer pressure. That is an intentional relationship that you've cultivated. And then at some point, we fall out of step. But you've had this relationship with those peers, and there are many steps before you got there where you could have stopped yourself. Pain introduced in a marriage is very hard to forget. Forgiving, we've been asked to do, but forgetting is hard. And another thing is, there's a difference between repentance and remorse. People come to say, I'm sorry, to their partners because probably they feel ashamed. You're using the person you've had to make you feel better about the thing you've done. And then what you do after that, you get upset because it's taken them more than 30 calendar days to get over it. But you've transferred your shame, packaged it under confession to this third person, and then every time your partner brings it up, you're like, but see, I told you. Sometimes I wonder if it's important to confess as much as it's important to be repentant. Repentance in the Bible says you turn away from that sin. Integrity is between you and you. You have to tell yourself that I'm hanging out with the wrong people. We don't need to be the wives who have to police our husbands. We don't need to keep checking on each other's communication, wondering, he said it's 6 p.m., you should be home. Why is he not home? Who is he talking to in the bathroom? By the time a woman or a man is feeling there's something wrong with what their partner is doing, there's already a crack. But at the point of accidents, I want us to stop allowing ourselves to make it that much okay. Because it's once becomes twice, then thrice. Then even you become a person you don't recognize. Let's not call it accidental, once, because it makes you comfortable to do it.
How would a divorced mother, she's divorced, so she was married, now she's divorced, but she's a mother. The question does not specify the number of children, just a divorced mother, but she's co-parenting with the man she's divorced from. How can she navigate dating a younger man? So there's a new man in the picture, but he's younger than her. Not only is he younger, he is also child-free. Ana mtoto. So this younger man is very keen and interested in the relationship. And the question is, how can she not sabotage this new relationship?
I've had to deal with stepmoms. You have to accept one thing, that your stepmother is not your mom. But how my dad did it was very clear to us that the most important person in this relationship is her, the wife. And he has a role as a father to play. So never have a situation where your child is more important than the man, at all. The balance has to be the man first, then the child. Because this child will live. This child will go one day. It will remain you and your husband. So the person who is important is your husband. So what does your husband say? Or what does your man say? Your man say, no calls at 2 a.m. But as a man, always find a way of loving this child. It can never be that when another child comes, that your love for this child is less than the other one. But also you as a woman, manage the expectation. Know that the expectations are going to be like this and like that. That's all I need to say. Sorry.
But on top of my mind, I can say, you want to try and have all the conversations. And then you have to have a conversation about the child's or the ex-husband's in-laws. What does that look like? Where are you guys standing? Because now you're not only marrying an individual with a child, you're also married to that connection. That child's grandmother can call in on you guys, or grandfather, or uncles from that other relation. They're like, hello, yes, we are from Sakwa. We want to come and say hi to our baby. So I think when you start having that conversation, you get sobriety. And if at the end of the line, you feel comfortable still, that I'll be having guys from Sakwa, this child will be talking to the father with the regularity of often,
and many, many other becauses. If you're still comfortable, then you can proceed. Sometimes I wish people lived first, then married, but I don't make the rules. Many times when you meet people, they are sending their representatives. They come to your house dressed nicely, they are smiling, they are downsizing their madness. They're like, yeah, oh no, she's such a cutie, she's crazy. She will not say that. And then now when you start living together, then you really see the cracks. And so I would say have open and honest conversations.
She's lifted up her hand.
Sir, you said that women listen to listen.
Yes.
So you are right, because I started wondering, why did she have to include the word younger and single and mother? And I realized that those are the pain points she was struggling with. You're probably living in the chapter of your life that you had not planned for. And that's why you're feeling so ill-equipped, maybe, to navigate this journey. You planned to be with the father of your child the entire season, right? But now there's no stigma. And therefore, the person who seems to accommodate the fact that you have a child is the only candidate that you can be with. I find that connections are not easy to come by. Someone might like you, you don't like them. You like each other, it's not the right time. You like each other, sijui
He's unemployed.
When you find yourself in maybe a situation where there's a guy who's interested, because you did mention younger, I hope that you don't compromise on a lot of what it is that you wanted for the sake of maybe feeling that connection again. Secondly, you're concerned if they have the capacity to accommodate dating and marrying, if that's your intention, a woman who already has a child from a previous partner. It doesn't make you a bad person if, for example, now, Mr. MC, if you found this lady who was married to someone who's passed on and you don't have grace for that. I believe it's okay to abandon ship. It's just different, and it's it's about knowing yourself. So sometimes if you feel something, you want to pursue it, but there's victory in silencing your flesh and walking away from a situation that you know you cannot contribute to and you cannot lead. And as a single mother, you're not dating for the sake of companionship for you. You're also dating a man whose values you'd want your child to emulate. If my child came out exactly like this person, will I be happy? And if the answer is no, it's okay to walk away. God is not limited in resources, in people who he will call to love you.
I don't know if you guys have heard these stories where like the kids go to boarding school and they come back and the house is completely different. There's no picture of the mom. Things have been thrown out. I think that's highly traumatic. And the same way for the reverse. I feel like if I was dating a guy who's a widow and there's like a picture in the house or whatever, it's my job to be okay with it because this child has lost a parent. Don't rock the world of the child by doing drastic things to preserve this relationship. I think you need to extend grace to this child who needs to have the 2 a.m. call or the picture of the mom or whatever. Now, maybe with time, not that they will forget, but maybe they will start to love you, maybe, as much as they loved their late, whoever it is, father. But I feel like one of the big injustices we do is to rock the world of the poor children. And so many people have such traumatic stories of what's happened when they lost their parent and their living parent took on another relationship. Horrible.
Each one of them has a role to play in the relationship. Your children have a role to play. Your husband has a role to play. You as a mother have a role to play. Yes, the man being an adult, he understands that the children are vulnerable. There is always a leaning towards the child more because you have survived this child, you have struggled with this child more than the man who is coming into the relationship. So there has to be a balance. That's what I'm saying.
As a man, you need to understand that the children will always come first.
There's a scripture I like where Jesus is talking about construction, and I like to borrow it. It says somewhere in Matthew, if I'm not wrong. It's in the Gospels. If you decide to build a house, count the cost, lest you start your building and everybody laughs at you because you've not finished your house. And it's laden with a lot of wisdom. And so if you're looking at marriage to know if you're ready, I would not stop at my friend Waweru's instinct. I would start counting the cost of things like fidelity. Do I have enough heart? I think also what Getty had alluded to, am I a person of substance? So that I can direct even a son or a daughter in a direction the way they would probably go. I once went to visit my friend at his house, Ogembo is here, and his son came to shake my hand. I think he was probably 5. He gave me a firm squeeze. I had to call the dad and say, hey, you mtoto amenisalamia bana. And there's a semblance of respect and manliness with which you see him operating. One time we were in church and I saw him at the corner of my eye with one of his aunts. And the way he was strutting along with, I've got this, you know? And so I think somebody wants to ask themselves, according to that scripture then, have I counted the cost of provision? Have I counted the cost of, and provision is not necessarily money. In 2025, we've spoiled it. Money is very important because Jesus again spoke tons about money. So sometimes I think even in readiness from a man's perspective, you want to really assess your ethos, ukundani. You know, how do you carry yourself? Are you wussy so that if you walked into a room, guys are unsure, you talk to your wife and they're like, oh my goodness, this building is coming down. She brings a problem, you just go into the corner weeping. Check you. You know, so I feel like you may want to try to count the cost of things that are important. If you're reticent and uncommunicative, it becomes very difficult. If a problem is brought to you, you scatter. Or I send my sister Bonita and I say, hey, go talk to my wife. Hey, it's hot. Every day, hello? Now she's sulking, go talk to her. It becomes frustrating for that woman. And even the man. So I think if we can sit and really count the costs of construction of a marriage and what is needed, whatever that may be. And of course, every marriage is different. As we were saying earlier, for some people, cheating is a mountain. For others, you don't have money. That's a mountain. And so you have to count those costs. Count the cost of fidelity, count the cost of honesty, count the cost of longevity, count the cost of propriety, count the cost of in-laws, and so on and so forth. And then you start building your house. You have to know how many nails you have, how much sand you have, and then also build the structure that commiserates your material. And I think that even goes with the way we've lost wisdom in how we get married. You see these wedding shows, and some of them are eclectic. Hey, the husband is landing in a chopper. And then 3 weeks later, they just counted the cost of the fuel, jet fuel, and they didn't count any other cost. The thing ends. There's another guideline I've read in the Bible. Amos 3:3 speaks about how can two people work together until and except they agree, which I think is so profound because sometimes we are not in agreement. Imagine if I said, we have this meetup and the live recording. I sent to Chepto that we are meeting at Village Market. Then I sent to Vicky that we are actually meeting at the hub. Then I sent to Cecilie that we are meeting in Karen. Can you imagine the confusion? Even about finances. I know my sister wants somebody who is steady, amejipanga. You're like, do you have M-Pesa? They're like, let me call you back. Then you go for 4 hours. She says you're going to have a problem in that relationship. She wants akisema M-Pesa, you send more. If she was saying 10K, you say 25. Just, you may need something or see some tomatoes. Just... And then that is what the other person wants. And if this other person wants communication, I've been accused in my relationships that I'm over-communicative. That you're very... like you communicate. I'm like... Hey. So I'll tone down the communication. And maybe they're not even saying it in a Bible. Maybe you're smothering them. You're like, where are you? Did you reach? Where are you now? Okay, fine. Okay, finish and then tell me when you finish and then when you go home. Okay, now tell me when you just open the door and you get into the house. Okay. All right, you've opened the door and you're in the house now. All right, you've showered and sleeping. Okay, wonderful. Now you're covering your head. My goodness. Wow, amazing. I love you when you cover your head. Okay, and now you're sleeping. Good night. You see that she's getting tired. Check it, leave me alone, you witch. But there's another person who yearns for that. Check you, hold on, hello? Why didn't you ask me if I've covered my head? So people want whatever they want. And then it can be like, again, as I was giving the example, financially. I understand my significant other. If they want M-Pesa, I can't dilly-dallying. I have to even call Shadi. Because I don't want to be on the red. If that works for you and you can maintain it, by all means. And sometimes, are you in agreement sexually? People don't like to talk about that, especially people in the faith. Cheki Yesu atatenda, hatatenda. So there are things that, especially as believers, we abandon to Yesu ni Bwana. So you're just like, God will do it. But will He? Will God hook up your glutes? How? He will not. And so are we in agreement sexually? Are we in agreement financially? Are we in agreement in the way we communicate? Are we in agreement socially? What if I love my sisters and I want them over? And then you are like, me, those relatives, you finish with them and then now you will just find me in the bedroom. That becomes a problem. It does become a problem. In terms of social status, you're thinking, you've come here to take coffee for 450. Why? You're wasteful. I'm like, no, I meet people here. It's going to be a problem. Okay? So that's the second principle. How can two people work together unless and until they agree? And Linda, on to what Linda said, prayer about who somebody wants to, who someone God should want you to be with, I think is also important, especially if you care about this stuff. But if you don't care for this stuff and you like to do things your way, then by all means, you just do things your way, you know? You're just like, whatever, I'll do whatever I want. But I think those are some of the things that are building blocks that adds on to. Again, there's this scripture that is quoted a lot around the Christian circles. Even if you don't go to church, you hear it a lot. I think it's in Corinthians. It says, do not be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. And I feel like in all faith teachings, Christians are the ones who are the most audacious to just marry anybody. I don't see Muslims do that often. I don't even see Indians do that. They're such sticklers to their people, isn't it? They're just like, you worship like this, I'll look for somebody who worships like this. And we sometimes discount the challenges that can come with that. So imagine on Sunday, you have to prepare your kids to go to church, but then again on Friday, you have to come back and prepare them to go to madrasa. So they go to madrasa, then they go to church, so that everybody is happy. It becomes a challenge. And even if they're both Christians, you belong to the Dini ya Msambwa, where you have Jesus in Emuhaya. Okay? And that's what you believe. We are going to see Jesus. So, so you drive all the way to Western Kenya to see Jesus. And this other person says, no, our Jesus is in heaven. He's not come. He came once, but he'll come again. And they're like, no, mimi hata niko na namba ya Yesu. You see, it becomes a problem. So yes, you're both believers, only that your Jesus lives in Ebusakami. Okay? So I think those things, while they seem mindless in the beginning, they grow and they can cause resentment. That's what I would add to the question about how to know you are ready. Emmanuel, are you here? How did you know you were ready to get married when you got married?
I don't know, it was a feeling. At that time I was younger, and I don't know what you guys think in this room, but I feel like guys should get married when they're much older. I feel like I'm a very different guy now from that time when I was getting married, because I was 30, but I wasn't mature yet. So I went on feelings. She had a very big behind, which is not a very nice reason to get on your knees and tell somebody you want to be with them for the rest of your life. So I feel like I'm older and wiser now.
Did you like her behind in particular?
Yes, at the time, I can confess.
I think women are generally, the girls are brought up to be prepared to be someone's wife or to make a home or whatever it is. So there's a lot of preparation that goes to the women generally, I think somewhat unfairly, but that more girls and women are prepared to make a home than I think men are to be a husband. And I think it's more important for men to be ready. So a bit like what you've said, that you knew that you could look after yourself. I think many men aren't ready to look after themselves when they ask a woman to be their wife. And I mean that not just look after themselves, like, do you know yourself emotionally? Do you know how you are? A bit, Eric, like what you've said, have you counted the cost of being faithful, or are you happy to be, to move around? And if you are, then you're not ready for it. So don't have a woman. I'll use the same good book that you've used and said, it says that the Christ, to bring her to himself. And I don't think there's enough bringing her to himself because he's then ready. Most men are on a luck and a whim. We're going to learn ahead. And I think also there is a really bad preparation system, even say with classes like, premarital classes. I think sometimes the things that they teach men, that they teach people, aren't necessarily the things that you will come across. I think there should be a preparation first just for the boys, the men, so that they're at the same level or at least as aware as the girls who are being prepared from the beginning. My sister has this thing where she says, a man has to build a palace. And what you're doing between that time and when you then build your home is that you're collecting materials for it. So yes, maybe the materials you have are for a chicken coop. That's okay. There'll be somebody who will want a chicken coop with you. Maybe somebody has something that's a cave. Then great. Pick the one that, because you know yourself so well, when you choose, you'll say, I have enough for a cave. And let that person then say, okay, yeah, I'll do the cave with you. But maybe the one who is up ahead wants a mansion. Then, feel free to remove yourself from the game and say, okay, I don't have the materials for the mansion that you need. Or whatever it is that you need to prepare. So that a man doesn't then ruin a woman's life by giving her, or by presenting himself as something that he is not. Yeah, correct.
Maybe in a tentative conversation, we should speak about what preparation looks like from a woman's standpoint. Is it something that a woman is told continuously? You made an interesting point. You said that the preparedness ought to lean more on the man more than the woman, because all through a woman's life she's taught to, do this and do that and do the other. And I agree. I've seen a lot of families where girls are sort of raised very differently from boys. It's either by default or design. Like you're always supposed to, cross your legs like this and sit properly and serve people and smile and da-da-da-da-da. And boys are just left to grow like weed. So you can see a sister, then you look at a brother and you're like, you are related. So that's very, very interesting. And I also wonder why parents do that. I don't know if they just pass on what they were dealt, because I've visited people who are very allowing. Boys can come in whenever. They're boys. They're boys. But then, girls have to explain with diagram. Again, for security reasons and so on and so forth. But it also goes into things like removing the plates after you eat or washing utensils. So the girls, oh, no, go, hey, Anita, clear the plates. And the boy is just like removing meat between his teeth. So I don't know. I guess also maybe our parenting styles as something to do in contributing to that. Kisengani, pass it to Erica and then we come back to her.
Hello. Sorry if my voice is low. Now, my question in regards to the issue that you're talking about, preparation. I want to stand here and say I don't think anyone can be so prepared or as prepared for the institution called marriage ever, because the seasons keep changing. I got married at 21 and got divorced at 27 and probably got into another relationship. But I want to say the basics that we are taught as a Ugandan girl, because Ugandan women are taught a lot. At some point, a lot of it is irrelevant. And a lot of it can only serve the beginning of the season of marriage and not for when the real problems come in. So my question is, this preparation that you people are talking about, can you agree that it keeps changing? Because when the problems come, washing plates won't do anything about it. I feel like different seasons have different ways on how to deal with them, and you can never be prepared. Some people go into marriage and you're not prepared that you're going to lose your first pregnancies. How do you deal with that? Oh, you're not prepared that at one point your partner is going to get another wife. Okay, sometimes you expect it, but you're not thinking it's going to happen to you. Or maybe, could someone help me with that question? Can someone answer it?
I believe marriage is a place of leadership for the man. And I concur with what she said, that the preparedness should be more with the man than with the woman. I think in very many cultures, and I'll take myself personally as an example. I was married when I was 20-year-old. I'm 44-year-old now. I was married at 20. And I escaped several traditional marriages to marry the man of my choice. So me marrying at 20 was a no-brainer. I knew if I don't marry the man I want, I'll be married to the man to a husband they prefer. So I got married to the man I loved, and it came with its fair share of consequences. He was 32, I was 20. And what does a 20-year-old know? I mean, it doesn't matter how ready one would have thought in our culture, we raise girls to be wives. But you're truly never ready to live with another person and with all the shenanigans that comes with it. I think luck was on my side. I believe I landed on one of those fine gentlemen we rarely land on. And we're still married to date. 8 children, 6 of our own, 3 adopted. Actually, 9 children, sorry. And we're doing fine. But he transitioned me from this 20-year-old to being a wife, to being a mother, to being a businesswoman. I mean, that's a lot for somebody to do. You understand? So I feel like the question of preparedness can never really be exhaustive. It doesn't matter how, like she said, you could be prepared to cook nicely as a wife, but has anybody told you could have lost your first pregnancy? And how do you react to that? There's so much that you can never be fully prepared for. But probably self-awareness helps. And in that regard, my comment will end here.
When you're growing up, you want to get a good job. That means you need to go to a good school or a school, work hard, get good grades, go to university, get a degree and stuff. Yeah. The same goes into marriage. You need to really work on your marriage because most people just go into marriage and just leave it as is. Yeah. But in marriage, you need to really upskill yourself. Go for marriage counselor, marriage conferences, read. Just devote time for you as two couples, just to communicate, have deep communications. So I think that's what I would like to add. Yeah.
I agree totally with what Terry said about preparedness. I think the biggest mistake that people do today, they have microwave marriages because people take like Manu, one aspect made him marry someone. Preparedness means, can you look at a person and look at both their strengths and weaknesses? If a person has a flaw, a small flaw that you can live with, then you can contend with that because nobody's perfect. Miles Munro said that for you to get married, you have to be complete in yourself as an individual before you get another complete person. Don't come to marriage as an incomplete person. So the way you look at it is this way. If somebody has a small flaw, like the way you say you don't like contention, if you find a woman who is contentious.
Contention is a big flaw.
Yes. If you get into that marriage, multiply that. Somebody told me, multiply that by 20.
Oh, I agree. That's a wonderful statement, yeah. So the contention will go up times 2,000.
Yes, like whatever you find that their flaws are, multiplied by 20 and ask yourself, can I live with it? If you can live with it, then go right ahead and live with that. So that is part of the preparedness. Like somebody said, you cannot prepare enough for marriage, but you can prepare yourself to deal with anything that comes with that marriage. Yeah.
Shadrach. I think even as Emmanuel is getting the mic, I just would want to add to Ogembo's point. I feel like when we stop planning, we start dying. And I don't know what happens, but we really understand that. My sister recently went back to school and got a master's degree. And I'm sure she's about to enroll to do a PhD. And people are very comfortable advancing, and they take these certificate courses and so on and so forth. But when it comes to issues of relationships, we just leave it to happenstance, which is interesting. I don't know where we learned that from. Like, love is just supposed to find us, and then it will just blossom. We don't need to water it. It doesn't even need a seed. We just whistle. And then if it hears that, the bold and beautiful whistle, it just blossoms. And so I cannot agree more with Ogembo's take that we need to educate ourselves. I think the other thing I've learned as yet to be a married man from my friend, every year him and his wife go to these marriage expeditions, like a 3-day conference about how to know, to spice up love. And I think it lends credence to what I was saying earlier. If you're not in agreement, if you're not lined up together for things like that, let's say if me, I'm up for that stuff, and my significant other is like, hey, no, umependezi vitu za education. This thing for educating yourself, like how far will we go? Like educating. See, we use the ones we did 6 years ago. Then it becomes a problem. So you can't be in a space where you're bastardizing something as, advancing as that. And I just can't agree more.
I think there has been a lot of wisdom shared here, but something to put forward would be knowing ourselves enough to understand what our attachment styles are. This is something that I discovered very recently, and I also got married when I was 21, 22, and this is my daughter. So it's sort of something that makes things easier from the get-go. When you get into a relationship, if you know exactly what kind of an attachment style you have, it's very easy to weed out the wrong partner to begin with. So maybe that's something that would be beneficial, to know exactly what kind of attachment styles we have.
Emmanuel, do you know your attachment style?
No, I think Big Nyash is not my attachment style. Come on, man.
Is that what somebody said?
Yeah, she's saying that. So yeah, I think if I'm not careful, I could be one of those clingy peeps for calling. Back in the day, I used to be very communicative, which sometimes, The last chick I had, final story about her.
You guys, you're missing that chick. Check it. I miss you.
But maybe it was a rebound, like that lady I've been telling you guys about. So one of the things she told me was, Manu, hii attention wanipea sijazoea. If you don't understand Swahili, it means that attention you're giving me, I'm not used to it. I'm that, but now I'm a bit more laid back because of my experience in life, I guess. Yeah. But I'd also like to learn from you, I don't know if we have the time, like the different attachment styles. Like, are they, can you list them?
I think there's 3 or 4. The first one being secured. So that's sort of the kind of attention, love that we've received during our formative age, and how that dictates now how we relate to others. There is also the avoidant style, people who just avoid things. And you could be an anxious person, and there's also an attachment style called anxious. So if you're anxious and you're pairing with someone who's avoidant, it's a never-ending pain for the anxious person to always want to feel secured, and the other person is continuously avoiding. So I think those 3 are the main, but I'm sure there are more.
Yeah, I agree. So there is secure, anxious avoidant. I have semblances of secure, but I also have a bit of anxious. I have a bit of anxious. I don't think I'm avoidant. I think I'm anxious and then stroke secure. Yeah. All right. So thank you for that. Do you think there's a shortage of good men? There are so many quality women than men. I could go on for 9 hours about this. I don't think women experience women the way men experience women. If you have a girlfriend, you cannot equate that with how they show up in a relationship because you are not their husband or their boyfriend. So most women assume that just this chick is so sweet. Oh my God. As in, why does she meet weirdos? She's such a darling. She's a darling to you. Because you guys are friends. Okay? And then you don't bring out the things. Like you've never seen her dating. You don't know what she's like dating. You don't know what she's like arguing passionately. You know? So you keep judging her off the prism of your girliness, but you don't know her as a girlfriend or as a wife. Okay? So about whether they are good men, I think we've also been made numb because of consuming social media a lot. So we've been sold a narrative that London is burning tomorrow at 8 a.m. Okay? So that every relationship has a crazy weirdo who's cheating with a cat, cheating with a help, cheating with everybody. And because bad news sells, we falsely decided to embrace that. And that's one of the reasons I don't watch news much. Because they are on the quest to depress you. Habari zinazojifikia hivi sasa ni mama moja kule Nyandarua amenyonga watoto wake. Edmund Mudibo atatueleza. And then the guy goes on a spree of unyongi. Second item. Hautaamini wewe unaonaje hiyo mambo ya kunyonga. These are the guy says, oh, choking is bad. They choked her. Let's go to the second story. Bwanaume mmoja, another man, had just spat on the girlfriend's eye. And Dorothy Tasia will tell us more. I am sitting in a restaurant where it happened. He is aggressive and he spat. Can you believe it? And then now, because we hear it a lot, we've believed it. It's exciting to our hearing. But normal is very boring. Think about it. You go back home, somebody says, how was the event? You're like, yeah, it was very interesting. So we're talking about relationship. And there's this lady in black who was so deep. Another lady in white told us a story about how she was married at 20. Another lady in black was just saying she came with her daughter and she was like, oh my God. Guys will start sleeping. They're like, oh, okay, what are we eating for supper? But if you start the conversation with the guy who was hosting, slapped the cameraman. Check your water! You see what I mean? So I think we need to expose ourselves to things that are working. Because there are things that are working. And I like to give the example of a phone. Shadrach, you've had a couple of phones since I've known you. Not all of your phones were snatched from your hand. Some you just left in the office, some you gave away, some... Like, life is beautiful and fair. All of us came here, there were some challenges on the road, but we got here. But what is highlighted about Nairobi? Traffic. They even have a traffic segment. And if you're driving from Ngong Road, you have to be careful because it's bumper to bumper. This is 94.4. You better route to road because Ngong Road is impossible. If you are planning to go to Nyandarua, my God, God help you, because it's just everything has to be crazy. So I know I've been accused by some of people who are intimate to me that I'm a perpetual optimist. And I like that accusation because I believe that life is beautiful and fair and just. Are there challenges? Absolutely. Are there challenges all the time? No. Back to this question, are there some horrendous men who are made by Satan? Yep. There are. There are men who you meet and then you start regretting and questioning yourself. You lose weight, you become thin, you get jaw lines and you don't work out. It's because you perpetually don't have appetite. They've taken your appetite. I've been following this Didi story. And it's cultic. Emmanuel, I think I sent you some stuff in the morning. It was literally almost practicing occult. You know, like somebody was opining and saying that every time there was a death, his fame would rise. Every time there's a death, imagine that. And if you are his boy, he'd hit on your wife, he'd impregnate your wife, some crazy dark stuff. So is every man a Didi? It's just a nice story that can make a Netflix special, and not every man is a Didi. Let me tell you a story of a friend of mine. He's not permitted me, so I won't mention his name. I've known him for a long time, and he's a married man. He's never cheated on his wife, not once, and I know him intimately. When his wife got the first child, he used to leave me in restaurants. We had a tradition where every Friday we'd meet and have tea. When the wife got the baby, it changed because every Friday he had to go and wash the baby. I'm not saying that, oh my God, don't feminist me to death that for washing the baby, that's normal, he's the father, I'm just saying that story is so boring that if you tell it, people meet it with, but it's true and it's happening. But if you dare tell a group of men or a group of women that there's this chick who's so faithful who goes back home, for women, it's expected. When you say that of a man, it's like, well, how many are they? I think there are many, but they're just not loud. And many times they're just boring because they're not twerking on TikTok and talking. There's a guy I see on TikTok who's always shirtless. He's like, umevaa earphone. Unajua ukiwa pale katika kitendo cha ndoa. I'm like, Jesus, the man who always talks about ngono. Daily is a ngonolist. And his views, oh my goodness. His views are in the hundreds of thousands. And he says the most shocking things. Those things are shaped differently. There's some that look like this. And that's his content. Do you know that shirtless man? I don't know his name. But he's always just talking about all this other stuff. So I think very strongly that first we have to expose ourselves to the things that are working. Secondly, we have to also pay attention to other stories away from these shock jokes that we like to embrace. You know, entertain a healthy story. Entertain healthy relationships. If you live in a neighborhood where everyone is horrendous, maybe cross to the other side and talk to somebody. Go to a symposium like my friend Ogembo. Talk to people who've been married for long and what did they do so that their marriages are working. What about a mother who's raised a daughter that old? What are some of the things they've done? A daughter who's 10, 20, 15, for them to reach 20 and they're sane, what is it that this person was doing so that we can learn from them? Not the daughter who was in court the other day with the brother because they drank shots and killed one of their colleagues. Did you see that story on the news? And the boy was just saying, I will apologize to my father because you've told me to apologize. So you see, when that is put on social media and it's trending and trending and trending, we start thinking that everybody is untoward and everybody is unseemly. But I think maybe it's my very optimistic view on life, but I really honestly think that there are very, very many good fruits. Very many good fruits. Don't pay attention to the bad ones. Bad ones exist, but between bad and good, I would say there are more good than bad. So thank you so much. My name is Eric, as always. Let's do this again. I'm very excited. Come on for the next one. Ask a question or two or three, and you just never know. You might just get an answer right here. For these and such delicious conversations, please follow on TikTok, Instagram, and X. My handle remains the same at Eric Stories, ERIQ Stories. And let me know what your thoughts are about this conversation right here on the comment section. Right here on the comment section.